Highway 66 was built for freedom. Endless road, endless choices. But on one quiet night in Arizona, a 19-year-old girl vanished without a scream. Her car was found running, her phone was left behind, and the road offered no answers. Police searched for a monster in the dark. What they found was far worse, because the man who stopped to help was the reason she never came home.
Right before we dive in, just a small ask. If you enjoy this kind of storytelling, subscribe and like the video. It helps me keep creating more for you.
Highway 66 had always been romanticized as America's road of freedom. Endless asphalt cutting through deserts and forgotten towns, carrying travelers chasing something better. But on a quiet stretch of that same highway, just outside a dying Arizona town called Red Hollow, freedom disappeared with a 19-year-old girl named Megan Lawson. It was just after midnight when Megan's car was found. The engine was off, the hazard lights were blinking, the driver's door was open. Her phone was still inside, sitting in the cup holder with a cracked screen, battery dead. Her purse lay on the passenger seat, untouched. There were no skid marks, no broken glass, no blood, just silence, and the unmistakable feeling that something had gone very wrong very quickly. Megan Lawson did not run away. Everyone who knew her said that without hesitation. She was responsible, careful, the kind of girl who texted when she arrived somewhere, who shared her location with her mother just in case. The kind of girl who never walked away from her car on a dark highway in the middle of the night. Yet that's exactly what it looked like she had done. Earlier that evening, Megan had left Flagstaff after visiting a friend. The drive home to Kingman usually took just under 3 hours. She sent her last text at 11:41 p.m. Almost home, signal's bad, love you. That message became a timestamp investigators would obsess over for months. At 12:26 a.m., a truck driver called 911 to report an abandoned vehicle on the shoulder of Highway 66. By the time police arrived, Megan was already gone. Red Hollow was the kind of town people passed through without noticing. One gas station, one diner that closed before sunset, a handful of trailers and boarded-up storefronts that looked like they had been abandoned decades ago. Cell service dropped without warning. Surveillance cameras were rare, and the highway stretched on in both directions, offering 1,000 ways to vanish. From the start, law enforcement was split. Some believed Megan's car had broken down and she accepted help from the wrong person. Others suspected she had been followed long before she reached Red Hollow. A few quietly wondered if she knew whoever stopped for her. What everyone agreed on was this: Highway 66 had swallowed people before. Within hours, Megan's disappearance hit local news. By morning, it was everywhere. Her senior photos filled screens across Arizona. Blonde hair, nervous smile, a face that made strangers say the same thing again and again. She looks like someone I know. Search teams combed the desert for days. Helicopters flew low, scanning washes and abandoned structures. Volunteers walked miles under brutal sun, finding nothing but tire tracks too old to matter and footprints that could belong to anyone. Then, something unsettling happened. A woman called police from a rest stop nearly 70 miles east of Red Hollow. She claimed she had seen a girl matching Megan's description around 1 a.m., barefoot, shaken, standing near a pickup truck with out-of-state plates. The truck was dark-colored. The driver was male, middle-aged. She hadn't intervened because nothing about the scene screamed danger. That detail haunted investigators, because nothing ever does until it's too late. Detectives pulled traffic cam data, but Highway 66 offered long gaps with no coverage at all. The killer, if there was one, had chosen the perfect place: a road built for escape, a town that didn't watch, a moment where trust could be mistaken for survival. As days passed, the narrative shifted from rescue to recovery.
Megan's parents refused to accept it. They gave interviews daily, pleading directly into cameras. "If you have her, just let her go." But somewhere between Red Hollow and the next forgotten town, someone knew exactly what happened that night, and they were saying nothing. By the end of the first week, hope had started to fracture. Megan Lawson's face was everywhere, on highway billboards, gas station windows, motel notice boards stretching across Arizona and into California. Her parents barely slept, surviving on coffee in the fragile belief that visibility meant safety. But visibility didn't bring Megan back. It only brought more questions. Detective Aaron Cole had worked missing persons cases before, but Highway 66 felt different. Roads usually led somewhere. This one erased people. As tips poured in, a pattern began to form. Disturbing, incomplete, and impossible to ignore. Megan wasn't the first young woman to vanish near this stretch of road. She was just the first in years to generate national attention. In 2009, a college student disappeared after her car overheated outside Winslow. In 2013, a waitress heading home late was never seen again after stopping for gas near Seligman. Different years, different towns, same highway, same silence. None of those cases were officially connected, until now. Witness reports started contradicting each other. One caller claimed to have seen Megan arguing with a man near her car. Another insisted she was alone, pacing, waving at passing vehicles. A third swore she saw Megan sitting inside a truck, calm, almost relaxed. That detail terrified investigators. People under immediate threat don't look calm. People who trust someone do. Cell phone data confirmed Megan's phone died shortly after her last text. No movement, no pings, no digital trail. It was as if the road itself had absorbed her. Then came the truck. A dark-colored pickup with out-of-state plates appeared in 3 separate tips. One from the rest stop witness, one from a gas station clerk nearly 50 miles west who remembered a nervous young woman using the restroom around 2 a.m., and one from a traffic camera in California that caught a similar vehicle speeding westbound less than 2 hours later. The problem was the plates. They didn't match. Someone either misremembered or the driver switched plates mid-journey. Both possibilities pointed to the same conclusion. This wasn't an accident. This was experience. Investigators expanded the timeline, looking not just at that night, but the days before it. Megan had mentioned feeling uncomfortable at a rest stop earlier in the week. A man had stared too long, asked too many questions. At the time, she brushed it off. So had everyone else. Search teams returned to Highway 66 with fresh eyes. They focused on places no one wanted to look. Abandoned motels, dry riverbeds, shuttered mining structures, the kind of locations people avoided instinctively. During one of those searches, they found something small but chilling. A torn piece of fabric caught on a rusted fence near an old service road. The color matched the hoodie Megan was last seen wearing. It wasn't proof, it wasn't closure, but it was the first physical sign that Megan had been alive after leaving her car. The desert had not taken her immediately. That realization changed everything. The FBI joined the case quietly, their presence unnoticed by most of Red Hollow. They didn't announce a serial offender, they didn't name a suspect, but internally they were building a profile that pointed to someone who used the highway as cover, someone mobile, patient, and familiar with remote terrain, someone who didn't panic. Meanwhile, Megan's parents received a call that would haunt them forever. A woman from Nevada claimed she had spoken to Megan days after her disappearance. The girl had been crying, asking for a phone, saying she couldn't go back. Before the woman could do anything, a man stepped in, calm, polite, apologetic. He said Megan was his niece, said she was struggling, said everything was fine. The woman believed him. Everyone did. When the lead went cold, investigators were forced to confront a brutal possibility. Megan had survived the initial encounter, but not the aftermath. Whatever had happened on Highway 66 hadn't ended that night. It had continued. And somewhere along that road, someone had made sure no trace led back to them. As weeks turned into months, the search officially slowed. Resources were reassigned, press attention faded. But Detective Cole couldn't let go of one thought that kept him awake at night. Highway 66 didn't just offer escape. It offered repetition. And if Megan Lawson wasn't the first, she wouldn't be the last.
By the 4th month, Megan Lawson's disappearance had become what law enforcement quietly called a long-term case, which was just another way of saying the road was winning. Detective Aaron Cole hated that phrase. He had driven Highway 66 more times than he could count now. Day, night, dawn, the road looked different every time, as if it was deliberately changing its face. In daylight, it seemed harmless. Sun-bleached asphalt, distant mesas, rusted signs pointing nowhere. At night, it felt predatory, empty, watching. Cole fixated on one detail most people had overlooked: the man who helped. Witnesses described him the same way every time: calm, polite, unthreatening, middle-aged, average build, nothing memorable. That bothered Cole more than any description of violence ever could. Monsters who stand out get caught. Monsters who blend in get away. The FBI profile suggested a transient worker, someone whose job justified movement, delivery routes, seasonal labor, long-haul transport. Someone who knew where cameras stopped working and where cell service died. That narrowed the field, but not enough. Then a mistake happened, not by police, by the man himself. A traffic stop in western New Mexico flagged a dark pickup truck for a broken taillight. The driver was cooperative, relaxed, almost friendly. His name was Daniel Pierce, age 46, worked contract maintenance for remote facilities, solar fields, pumping stations, abandoned infrastructure. Jobs that existed far from cities, far from people. His route history overlapped Highway 66 dozens of times. That alone wasn't enough. What caught Cole's attention was something else. Pierce asked a strange question during the stop. Is there still construction near Red Hollow? The officer didn't think much of it, but Red Hollow hadn't had construction in over a decade. When Cole interviewed Pierce weeks later, he didn't accuse him, he didn't raise his voice, he didn't push. He let Pierce talk. And Pierce did. He spoke about the loneliness of the road, about how people underestimated kindness, about how fear made strangers forget basic decency. He insisted he had never hurt anyone. He said Megan was alive when he last saw her. That statement froze the room. No one had told Pierce Megan's status. Pierce corrected himself too quickly, said he meant when he last heard about her. The damage was already done. Search warrants followed. They didn't find blood, they didn't find restraints. They found something worse. Photographs. Not violent, not explicit, just images of Megan, sleeping in a passenger seat, sitting in a diner booth, standing outside a motel at dawn. Proof of time, proof she had lived beyond the night she disappeared, and proof she had been controlled. Under pressure, Pierce's story unraveled. He claimed Megan had accepted a ride after her car stalled. He said she was scared, confused, grateful. He said she didn't want to go home. He framed himself as a protector, not a captor. The truth came out in fragments. Megan had tried to escape twice. The second time, she almost succeeded. Her body was found nearly 6 months after her disappearance, buried shallowly off a service road no one used anymore. The desert had begun to reclaim her, erasing evidence the way it always did. The case went to trial. Pierce never admitted to murder. He didn't have to. The evidence spoke clearly enough. He was sentenced to life. But even after the verdict, Detective Cole couldn't shake the unease. Because Pierce hadn't hunted Megan aggressively, he hadn't stalked her. He had waited for the moment when fear met trust, waited for a car to stop working, waited for someone to believe help was safer than being alone. Highway 66 returned to normal. Cars passed, travelers chased sunsets, towns like Red Hollow stayed quiet.
too quiet. And somewhere along that endless road, drivers still pull over when they see hazard lights blinking in the dark, because they believe the same thing Megan did, that the wrong person won't stop.
The verdict didn't bring silence. It brought a different kind of noise. In the months after Daniel Pierce was sentenced, Highway 66 didn't empty the way people expected. Cars still rolled through at sunset. Motorcycles still chased the myth of the open road. Travelers still took photos beside faded signs that promised freedom and nostalgia. But something had changed. People watched the shoulders of the highway more closely now. They noticed stalled cars sooner. They hesitated longer before pulling over. Parents warned daughters not just about strangers, but about helpers, about men who smiled too easily, about kindness that arrived at exactly the wrong moment. Megan Lawson's parents sold their house within a year. They couldn't stay in a place where time had frozen on a single unanswered question: what if? What if her car hadn't stalled? What if someone else had stopped first? What if she had stayed inside the vehicle? There were no answers, only echoes. At memorial vigils, people spoke Megan's name alongside others, women whose cases had never been connected officially, but never forgotten either. Different years, different towns, same road. Families shared stories quietly, comparing timelines they were never meant to notice. Detective Aaron Cole attended one of those gatherings in plain clothes. He listened more than he spoke. He learned something the case files never captured. Every victim had hesitated before accepting help, not because they sensed danger, but because they sensed something was off and talked themselves out of it. That realization haunted him. The final report labeled Daniel Pierce a lone offender. No accomplices, no confirmed additional victims. The paperwork was clean, closed. Cole didn't believe it. Pierce had traveled that road for years. He had known where cameras failed, where phones died, where screams dissolved into desert air. Megan wasn't a random choice. She was an opportunity. Years later, a rusted cross appeared near the spot where Megan's car had been found. No official marker, just a name etched into weathered wood facing the highway. Some travelers stopped. Most didn't notice it at all. That felt appropriate. Highway 66 had never needed permission to forget. The road still stretches across America, offering escape, solitude, and silence in equal measure. And on quiet nights, when hazard lights blank against the dark and the desert wind carries sound away, the same choice still exists. Trust the stranger or stay alone. Because the most dangerous thing about Highway 66 was never the emptiness. It was the belief that help always means safety. And somewhere, under that endless sky, the road is still waiting. Thanks for listening. If you want more cases from my old files, like the video and subscribe. There's plenty left in the casebook.